from deep in the dark hollows of Knott County, Kentucky, where the moonshine is strong, the stories are strange, and the people are blue. This is Appalachia, not so quiet. Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm your host, Hillbilly Phantom, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely co-host,
Appalachian Shade.
How you doing today?
Awesome.
Awesome.
Figure I'll change it up today.
Doing awesome. So, what was so awesome about today?
It's really cool outside.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day. Man, I even enjoyed work a little bit today.
My skin doesn't know how to react when I go outside. I'm like in shock.
Well,
It's been so miserably hot this summer. It's good to have a break.
yeah.
Again.
Yeah, exactly. The last week or so has been just lovely weather. It's been perfect.
I need to stay these temperatures all year round would be great.
Yeah, it's just been a fantastic week. So, on our last episode, we discussed angels again, the second sphere of angels.
The dominions, the virtues, and the powers.
Yeah, the three choirs of angels in the second order. And that one's racking up the listens.
Those are pretty cool episodes.
Yeah.
About the different angels.
Yeah, the first one has racked up quite a few listens. And actually, a lot of our episodes are racking up more listens. So, on our previous episode, we talked about how we'd hit 600 listens in just 3 days. And 3 days since then, we've now hit
700.
700
Another
listens.
100 listens in 3 days.
100 every 3 days? Man, that's pretty that's pretty cool. That's impressive, I think. I mean, these aren't Joe Rogan numbers.
No, I don't think we'll ever get
Getting millions of listens a day, probably tens of millions. But like I said, for a couple of hillbillies who just bought a little podcast setup to mess around with, it seems we're doing pretty good. Did you think that we would, be doing that good?
No, I was like, I'm just doing this for the fun of it.
Right. Like, yeah. I mean, we were just doing this, just to kind of.
I really thought like after 3 or 4 episodes, we'd be like, okay,
yeah,
we're done.
Like, well, that was fun, but let's move on.
But there's like the people reaching out.
Yeah.
Not on comments on their Spotify, which you should.
Yeah. Yeah, we need more comments.
We have like people that know us personally reaching out like, this is awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, we do have.
Kind of keeps us going.
Like I said, we figured out we probably got about 10 family and friends that we know of that are probably tuning in on most episodes. But, when you've got 70 some listens on that episode, well, that's way more than just your 10 family or friends.
Yeah, our family loves us, but they're not going to sit there and listen to the same episode over and over again. And they get tired of hearing our mouths. Yeah,
we're not that entertaining, but I hope that we are at least somewhat entertaining because we keep getting those listens.
Like my best friend asked me today, why are you doing this again? I said, because I refuse to play Dungeons and Dragons.
This is the only pretend she'll play with me. She'll play podcast with me.
Like I said, I'm enjoying it, but it's funny.
You won't play video games with me most of the time.
I told you, I cannot get past the first world in Mario.
That's bad, honey.
I try. I just don't have the coordination. But now I can play the Duck Hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
That was awesome.
But now Mario,
I can't. Yeah, you had the little zapper gun for Duck Hunt. It did make things a little bit easier. Well, I'm very glad that you have decided to partake in this particular hobby with me. Because, this is something we do anyway. Sit around and talk about these weird things or talk about life and back in the hollers and the hills.
Things that our family raised us to do.
Yeah, stuff we always heard growing up. Old wives' tales, and strange things lurking deep in the mountains, haints and boogers.
Sometimes in our front yard.
Sometimes. And on this episode, we're going to talk about another strange thing from these mountains right here in Knott County.
Along the Troublesome Creek.
Along Troublesome Creek, that's right. There lived a family. The last name, Fugate, and they were blue. I'm talking Smurf blue.
Papa Smurf. Smurfette.
Yes, they were blue. And it all started with an orphan, Martin Fugate, from France, right?
That's what the story, most people say this. He was an orphan. However, doing some research, I found that he actually had cousins in Breathitt County. So,
how does an orphan have cousins? Well, maybe he knew who his family was, but they didn't want him.
No idea.
But yeah, he had some cousins that had previously already come to America, and that's why he came close to the same area.
So, this is where things get confusing. 2 centuries ago, families settled here with the last names of Smith, Combs, Stacy, and Fugates. So, this is on the Troublesome Creek side of Knott County, toward the Knott Perry line.
All along Troublesome Creek. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, that's very few last names. That's like 5 families, let's say, different last names. Okay. But long winters meant neighbors would often marry their neighbors. You couldn't travel miles to find, like today, a boyfriend or a girlfriend.
Right.
Like
they were isolated.
in the holler.
Yeah, they were very isolated. And, nobody wants to think about the stereotype of inbreeding holler people.
Right. And
kill people.
We'll get into this later, but that's what everyone assumed is what was going on.
I mean, it wasn't uncommon, but it wasn't really common.
So yeah, like outsiders just typically stereotype us as inbreds, all that stuff. I'm not going to get into that because it makes me mad.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, you have to just accept the reality that kind of stuff happened back then because they were isolated.
But it wasn't like grandma and nephew, grandchild.
It was cousins,
mom and son.
You'd have like a second cousins or something.
Yeah,
they weren't stupid. They knew that from previous experience in Europe, where it was common practice for royalty to inbreed,
right, to
keep the royal line pure or whatever. They knew that close of inbreeding caused birth deformities, all kinds of health issues. So they weren't stupid. They knew that. So they tried to keep it separated out as much as they could. But what makes this story really kind of weird, beyond the blue people, of course, is the fact that 2 people with the same characteristic finding each other, and they think that's what caused the blue Fugates. So we'll go through a little bit of the history here.
Yeah. So in the early 1800s, Martin Fugate, who supposedly was a orphan
from France,
settled along the Troublesome Creek, and he married a lady named Elizabeth Smith. So they said that they had 7 children, and of those 7 children, there was 4, if I remember correctly, that were also blue.
Yeah, so these 4 kids
out of 7,
out of the 7, were born blue. So yeah, Martin Fugate, he already had this blue color to his skin.
Right, he was showing prominent symptoms of this.
Yeah. So, yeah, he already had this blue skin, and when he comes over here to Troublesome Creek, he meets a young lady from one of the other families that you mentioned earlier that had settled along Troublesome, Elizabeth Smith, and she had typical skin color. She was not blue. So when they had children, 4 of them were blue, 3 of them were not. They probably just thought, well, obviously we assumed some of them would turn out blue because
genetics.
Yeah, their daddy is blue.
Yeah. So over generations, the trait appeared in like branches that intermarried with nearby families like the Combses, Richies, and Stacys.
And
I'm going to try and say this respectfully. So in early Appalachia, like you had limited pools of potential partners.
Yeah. Yeah, you only had these 4 or 5 families.
That's different from the ugly word people throw around. Geographically, not wickedness, but one road can change a family tree.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Absolutely. That's right. And most of these people didn't even have roads.
Yeah.
So
Had a little pass.
yeah, they just had a little pass. They had to walk or take their mule.
So I was reading an article of a guy that done a family tree, and this is where, oh, like I said, all the stories that you've read or heard about the blue Fugates, they bring in the incestual,
imp stuff. Yeah.
So also is there's limited partners, but like a lot of people chose the same name. They're like, well, this is grandpa's name, so we're gonna name our child this name. I think one of them was Zachariah, and so I know Martin and Elizabeth had a son named Zachariah, and people were saying that he married his grandmother, Mary's mother. But when you go, yeah, so that's
married his grandmother,
right? Yeah, that's where they start with that. This is not true.
Yeah,
listen.
that.
At the time this was supposed to happen, on the, when this guy done the family tree, the grandma would have been 70 years old, and the child would have been 12.
12. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think no.
That didn't happen.
No, that didn't happen.
So that's been debunked.
Yeah,
that didn't happen. Because they were trying to make it out to like, oh well, they were really closely related.
Yeah,
and that's not the case. So
yeah, that's the age thing is ridiculous anyway. And like I said, they weren't stupid. They knew that close of a relationship, you risked birth defects and things like that for children.
right.
And why? I mean, what would be the point? She can't have kids anymore.
What they were trying to say that they'd had children.
No.
So what he found was Mary's mother was married to a Zachariah, but that was Mary's father. So
Okay.
they were trying to make it look like
okay,
make
that
it look
makes
bad.
Okay, so the father was named Zachariah
Right.
too.
Okay. Like our child, we named him after your father.
Right.
So if he ever marries a lady with your mom's name, and everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, he married his grandma," or something. That's kind of how things started to get twisted, is because people would be like, "Oh, he married this lady."
Right. Yeah.
They didn't really study the genealogy well enough to see.
Right. Yeah. They didn't. Oh well, maybe we should look a little further back, see if there's another Zachariah.
Right.
Not this 12-year-old boy.
I mean, we see it on the news, I guess, once in a blue moon, and I don't believe it then that an old lady's had a baby at 90-year-old or something other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's usually like tabloid stuff. National Enquirer.
Right. So that's not true. Yeah. But I mean, you do see like older ladies that are, say, 50, 60 years old that are carrying a embryo for their daughter or something like that. So
yeah,
that's normal, so that they can be a surrogate because their child can't have children.
Yeah.
So
there's cases like that.
But like I said, there's no 70-year-old woman in the 18th century having children with her 12-year-old grandson that just hit puberty.
Yeah, I don't buy into that either.
Yeah.
So basically, it was just assumed that since the Fugates lived in this remote area, that it led to all this intermarriage within the family. Yeah. They were coming out blue constantly every generation because they were inbreeding. That was the reason for it. Mm-hmm. That's what everybody was thinking.
Everybody's mind goes to the worst case scenario of things. Okay, so it was in the 1960s that a hematologist, Dr. Madison Cowan, started studying the condition with the help of a nurse, Ruth Pendergrass, who had previously seen a dark blue woman at the health department.
So one of these blue people came in, and they were like, "Oh, we've got to figure out what this is. Yeah, we got to study this.
Yeah, what is going on?" Yeah. They're just messing with us. But Dr. Cowan confirmed that it was an inherited methaglobinemia.
Methaglobinemia.
Yeah, methaglobinemia.
Methaglobinemia. Don't worry, we can't say it right. Yeah.
Right. So, several local families had methylene blue to temporarily correct the blood's chemistry. So they've used it, like the methylene blue. I don't know if you've seen it.
What?
They sell it now, and it like temporarily corrected the blood's chemistry.
Oh, so they actually had something that would combat this.
However, it turned them pink within minutes.
Are you kidding? So they went from blue to pink. Well, yes. I guess pink's closer to natural skin color.
But anyways, let's break this down and kind of let you know what the science behind this.
Okay, you're going to give me some methaglobinemia science.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So the blue tint came from a rare autosomal recessive condition, cytochrome B5, and its reductasase enzyme, or like short is CYB5R. So that's what I'm going to call it for short. Okay.
This is a lot of
it is.
hard words.
It's a gene. So the gene CYB5R3.
CYB5R3. Yeah, it's a little
can
easier
allow
to say.
some hemoglobin to hold on to oxygen in the wrong form. And with enough methemoglobin builds up in the skin, and it can make it appear blue.
Right.
So you think of it this way: blood as a conveyor belt for oxygen. Most of the time, it's great at its job. But if the belt jams a bit, oxygen doesn't really unload right. And the skin can look blue, especially like on your lips, your fingers. So that's like the blue tint to it.
Yeah, now I'm sure there's probably been people out there that's had like bluish colored lips and stuff. Mm. To have the entire body blue, they must have just been absolutely eat up with this enzyme.
Right. And so during this study, though, they found out that not only Martin had this, but his wife had this gene as well.
Right. That's the thing that makes it strange.
But she wasn't showing any symptoms.
Yeah, that's why I was saying earlier, this is what makes the story even stranger is this guy who obviously had this gene because his skin was already blue marries a woman who just so happens to have the exact recessive gene. And the odds of that happening are just staggering. I don't even know what they would be. It'd have to be more than 1 in a million.
And so they don't mention in the story either, like, other than them being blue, if they had any other symptoms. So, but symptoms can range from discolored skin, lips, and nails, which, are blue, shortness of breath, fatigue, weakness, headache, giddiness. That's weird. Giddiness.
I'm blue, labadee, labada.
That's probably where that song came from. So, altered mental state. So that's type 1 deficiency. So if they had type 2, then it would be all of type 1 that I just said, plus severe neurological issues, which is including intellectual disabilities, global developmental delays, and problems with motor skills. And if anybody's read these, and that's where it comes into our stereotypical, well, they're ignorant hillbillies, So another one is microcephalus.
Microcephalus.
Yes. So it's a condition that children will have. Like they'll have smaller heads, like when they're born, smaller than average, and they don't grow in like a proportional in their body. Like some parts are smaller or bigger than the others. Muscle tension and involuntary movement, such as spasticity and uncontrolled tinges of muscles. Feeding difficulties, like when they're trying to nurse. Slow growth and significantly shorter life expectancy.
Okay, and what I read, you mentioned if they had any other side effects besides the blue skin. And what I read said that most of them lived perfectly healthy lives.
Right.
And, they just went through life with this blue skin and it didn't cause any significant health issues unless their methemoglobin levels exceeded 20%. So they were actually able to measure the levels of this enzyme in their blood. And they didn't have any of those side effects unless it got up above 20%. So I guess if you don't mind blue skin, then it's not really that big a deal.
Well, I'm just wondering, because they didn't have, other than the blue skin, any of these side effects, could it have been caused by something else? I know they done the genetic testing.
Right.
But that was still so new back in 1960. Could this have been due to like high nutrients in food, like vegetables, your spinach, your beets, your lettuce, because that contains high levels of nitrates. So
you think
processed meats, contaminated water.
These all contain
nitrates.
These all contain methemoglobin, or they just contain?
They contain nitrates. High amount of nitrates can cause you to get the methemoglobin anemia.
So you want like a rich, high level of nitrates in your soil when you grow a garden.
Yeah.
But you're saying that if they're too high,
And you consume a lot of it,
and
which I would
yeah,
assume that they
right, that's
did back then
probably
because that's how they got their food is they
grew it.
grew and harvested their own food.
Right, they didn't go out to the store. There wasn't one.
And back in the 18th century, a lot of this land was undeveloped.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. That they didn't go down the road to a store or nothing. They had to make everything, build everything. Even make their own medicine and all this stuff. That's what all the people in Appalachia had to do because the Appalachian Mountains are so isolated and so cut off.
there's even, certain medications that can cause this as well.
Really?
So I don't know back then that these medications were around, but they can cause this. So
Okay.
even contaminated water, drinking water. So
Well, that's always a possibility.
like agricultural runoff can contribute to it.
Yeah. Back in those times, they probably didn't have too much like waste in their water and stuff, that we didn't have coal mines and all that, causing sediment runoff and all this. So I don't think it would be that, but it's very possible. Maybe that particular area of Troublesome Creek was very high in nitrates.
Well, I mean, think of the flooding and stuff. It could have been. That's where Troublesome got its name. That's because there were so many floods. They called it the Troublesome Creek.
A very troublesome creek.
So it could have stirred up, something in the water if they were drinking. So think about it like if you've ever had a fish tank and you have to kind of, before you can put the fish in it, you have to test it and make sure all the levels is right. The nitrates aren't too high.
Right. It's balanced.
Right. It's balanced. Or you'll kill the fish if you put it in there with it, everything not right. It's kind of like a science project.
Yeah.
So if there's been a flood that's came down the Troublesome and stirred all this up, well, it looks clean.
Right.
But maybe it's still got some settlement in it and maybe they drink it.
Yeah, it's possible. Maybe that's where it came from. Like I said, maybe that area is just very nitrate rich.
Yeah. That makes me want to go down and test the water.
Yeah.
It's not been too long after a flood.
So. You never know. So we've got at least a couple of explanations so far. The official, scientific explanation that Dr. Kaywin came to in the 1960s. And now you're saying that further research reveals that could be high nitrates in their food or water supply.
But they say that Martin was an orphan. Did his family not want anything to do with him because he was blue?
That's
what I'm saying?
That's what I'm thinking. Like he was blue, and they're like, "Yeah, I don't want a blue kid." But he probably at some point found out who his family was. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. And like I said, the reason he had cousins in Breathitt County is because they had already came to America, and he just kind of followed in their footsteps.
Right. Anything I read doesn't mention that his cousins were blue or anything.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So they were all still well regarded in the family, probably. But yeah, not poor Martin, just because he looked like Papa Smurf.
So, anyways, years later, Troublesome Creek area started to expand.
Right.
Right. So, and migration patterns affected who married who and how quickly rare traits diluted over time, especially the blue Fugates trait. Yeah. Once roads improved and people could move along and go elsewhere.
Once they were able to spread out and
it was kind of more rare.
Yeah, it kind of went back to being recessive, I guess. It recessed.
So there's names that have been reported and mentioned in public reportings, including like Luna, Fugate, in older generations, and Benjamin, they called him Benji Stacy, and they were born in 1975, whose dramatic blue coloring at birth made headlines. So there's actually news articles, there's videos of them on the news. And they're, that they're blue tinted. But as he grew up, the blue faded. It was just mainly his lips, his fingertips, and they were like cold all the time. His lips and his fingers. Well, because he didn't have good blood flow or oxygen circulation through his fingertips.
Oh, okay.
Their body temperature was low. Oxygen saturations were low. Not really good blood flow. So that's why they were blue.
Yeah, Benjamin Stacy, Benji, that was born in 1975. Was the last known descendant to exhibit blue skin at birth, and he later lost that characteristic, except like you said, with the lips and their fingers. I didn't see anything about it being cold. That was just, I didn't see that.
Yeah, anybody, like I said, anybody with poor circulation, they get really cold, their fingers and their lips. They're the first, because that's like, your lips have like really thin thin skin on them.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so does your fingertips.
Yeah.
So,
Your blood flow is closer to that.
Mm.
So, like you said, the whole thing of blue people, it was kind of sensationalized. A lot of people, started seeing these blue people popping up on their TVs because the media started
right. Like I
running
said
with the
in
story.
one of our previous episodes, when news media comes into this area, they kind of just go hog wild and try to make us look ignorant, though we're not.
Right. Yeah.
To
But
get the sound clip, the attention, to get their newspaper and all that
right.
stuff recognized.
Yeah.
The sound
Something like blue people is definitely going to
Yeah.
be sensational.
And of course, they can headline it as incest.
right.
Oh my gosh, these ignorant hillbillies. So they eat that up.
Yeah,
So
they do. The story of the Blue Fugates has inspired various things in culture, like novels and television shows.
I mean, you talk to somebody that's kin to those, and that rubs them the wrong way, and I don't
Oh
blame
yeah,
them.
yeah. I mean, it would me too. Yeah,
That's
I mean,
horrible.
that's what started happening when the story started getting out that there was blue people on Troublesome. Is oh well, what's wrong with them stupid hillbillies? Been back in their heels inbreeding, and that's where all that came
They
from.
don't talk about how isolation increases the odds of carriers having children together without shaming people or their culture. They just, we got to focus on that negativity.
Yeah.
Not that, this disease is out there and we need to seek treatment for it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a genetic disorder. There was at least the doctors that identified it. They were taking it seriously and they found ways to kind of help these people. But yeah, once the media gets a hold of it, it becomes this sensationalized mess.
They need to avoid labeling any living descendants and remember that their privacy really matters.
Right. Yeah. There's plenty of Fugates, I'm sure, that are descendants of the blue Fugates running around Knott County. And we don't pester them about, are you going to turn blue? We don't do that.
Was this because of incest? No.
No.
The accurate frame is a genetic isolation and recessive inheritance. Okay? Yeah. In small communities, especially in rural eastern Kentucky, anywhere you can see rare traits appear when two carriers have children. So it's a possibility. We live in the same county, but even though we know we're not closely related, it's still a possibility that there's some kind of rare trait.
Yeah, back there somewhere, the Fugates actually did marry into my kin, so they became my kin. And who's to say that recessive gene didn't pass down somewhere into my family? Maybe I have it. You never know.
What exactly is the enzyme problem? It's a deficiency of the cytochrome, which cytochrome B5, which is CYB5R3.
Yeah, CYB5R3.
Okay.
Quit using the fancy medical terms.
So, again, it just means that the body's sluggish to convert the methaglobin back to normal hemoglobin. So, it just lets it accumulate in
methahemoglobin.
Yeah, it just lets it accumulate under the skin and give it that blue tint.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it makes the blood. It gives the blood like a brown color.
Yeah, it makes it thicker and it's brown more. It's like more dark. It's not red.
Yeah, it's more like a rusty brown color, and the skin turns blue. It's just, man, it's weird how genetics work.
Yeah. So, and there is a cure for it. It can be treated.
Yeah.
Symptoms can be rapidly improved with the methylene blue treatment in many cases, but again, could turn you pink. You got to choose. You want to be blue, you want to be pink. I don't think it was like a bright, pink or whatever, pig pink per se.
Yeah, right.
It's more of probably more of a blush color per se. They're a little more
right. It probably wasn't like bright Pepto-Bismol pink.
But long-term cures should involve a doctor. So if you have this, you really should see a doctor and get treated for it. It can lead to some serious complications if not treated.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anybody out there in the world that actually has this because, like I said, it's such a rare thing for that methahemoglobin to get high enough for your skin to turn blue, completely blue, like the blue Fugates were. I don't think anybody in the world that actually has it that bad.
Yeah. So, but you asked, if there's still people today that had it, and public reporting suggests that the the visible traits of being blue is just very rare in these lines now, as the communities have mixed more broadly and the odds of two carriers having children have really decreased.
Right.
So some descendants still may carry the gene, but like the visible blue is
right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they probably still have the recessive gene. It's not presented itself. It's not caused an issue to make you turn blue.
Yeah. I know I've heard of it. Like, I don't know if it has to do with the Fugates or whatever, but like of babies crying and their lips turning blue. But if they've cried so long, their lips turn blue.
Yeah, anyway, it's just running out of air because they're screaming. Yeah, I mean, it was an extremely unlikely thing to happen back then. Obviously, Martin Fugate had this. He was already blue. He already had a blue color to his skin.
Yeah.
But for him to find a woman that had the exact same recessive gene was just like extremely unlikely.
Like winning the lottery.
Right. And now it's even more unlikely because there's so many more people in the world.
He probably had a better chance of being struck by lightning.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just an outrageous coincidence back then. Now it would be just like astronomical for two people with this gene to get together.
Yeah.
I guess if, one side has it and the other side doesn't, it's extremely unlikely to present itself. Like it just kind of keeps whittling down as it's mixed with people who do not have this characteristic, this gene.
So, like I said, every family has something, an old story, quiet worry, a proud moment. But the Fugates remind us that our bodies carry history, of course, but our dignity isn't up for debate. In Appalachia, we hold the line for our neighbors. We can tell the science and still keep the kindness. We don't have to,
yeah,
on the negative as the media does.
Right. So. We know that this was a genetic disorder.
Yeah.
We did present the alternate possibility of high nitrates in the soil and water and such. But I assume maybe somebody has looked into that at some point. Maybe not. But, if we thought of it, then maybe some smart science person thought of it before too. And maybe they already checked that. I don't know. But it seems that the genetic trait is the most likely explanation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did test Benji's blood type and all that stuff and found all of that. So
right, yeah. So,
but again, though, I wonder if the darkening of the blue so prominent, and then adding these extra nitrates and stuff to it as well, could have made it a more noticeable blue.
Yeah, it may have added to the genetic disorder. But even with all the people saying that it was inbreeding and things of that nature, we know that's not true. Like I said, sure, those things may have happened. Maybe, second, third cousins would sometimes marry, but there wasn't any grandmas and grandsons getting together. So yeah, the people in the mountains don't run around calling the Fugates inbred or nothing. That's people outside Appalachia that
don't know us well.
Yeah, that don't know us, that are always saying things of that nature.
I've never come and studied the area.
Yeah. They don't know anything about us. They don't know anything about the area. They don't understand how life was in those days.
No.
And that's one of the many reasons that we enjoy doing this, is we like telling these Appalachia stories.
Get the truth. Yeah, get the truth out.
Yeah, from the perspective of Appalachia people who, actually know about it.
Live it every day.
Yeah, we see it, we hear it. We've heard it our whole lives. I was 12 or 13 years old the first time I heard about the Blue Fugates. And I've heard, several different versions of the story. But when it came down to it, there was a simple scientific explanation. Just a genetic enzyme. This CYB5R3?
No, CYB5R3.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
CYB5R3. Okay, there's one thing that is true about Appalachia. We can't pronounce these fancy words.
I'm thinking a lot of people would have difficulty trying to say that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, they make
Ethiglobian.
They make these scientific terms so impossible to say. Give me a simple redneck version of that word. Blue blood. There we go.
Yeah, that's where, UK, we believe blue.
Yeah. Hey, the Blue Fugates, they didn't have to paint themselves up for a UK game. They just showed up. Woo! Go Cats. Okay, I think we've rambled on long enough. This has been a fun episode.
Really gets the wheels going. You got to think on a lot of things.
Yeah, the Blue Fugates, they were a massive mystery back in the day, but they figured out the truth of the matter. There wasn't a curse. It wasn't inbreeding. It was just a enzyme.
And I hope we've done this in a respectful way. That,
Yep.
Not to make anybody mad because we didn't mean to.
Yeah,
stir the pot.
We've tried to be respectful about it, but we have to mention all the things that were said about it.
People like to be disrespectful,
so if you find yourself actually blue, don't worry, it's just an enzyme.
Yeah, go get tested.
Yeah,
there's medicine for that.
That's right.
That will turn you pink.
Yeah, you'll be pink. Pink's a little happier than blue.
Yeah, you'll be rosy.
It's just another great story, great tale from the mountains of Knott County, Kentucky, the Blue Fugates. All right, I think we're going to call this one. Shade, would you like to tell everybody where they can find us?
Sure. You can listen to us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible.
That's right. And don't forget to check us out on TikTok. I think that you might be putting together a little TikTok with the Blue Fugates, right?
Yep. There'll be a little information on there about that.
Yeah, maybe some pictures of the Blue Fugates. Because they actually, I think they may have, got a few photographs, but there were paintings of the original Blue Fugate family, Martin Fugate, and his clan way back in the day. I guess they actually posed for a painting. So we'll get all of that on there. And also, don't forget that we are going to be drawing a name.
Yes. So this is the last day to comment on our 500th episode celebration.
That's right. Because
for a chance to win a t-shirt and a coffee mug with our logo and all that good stuff.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be drawing one special person who has left a comment and said they want some free merch. Now you can comment on TikTok. We have a TikTok video from our 500 listener celebration.
You can comment on Spotify. You can comment on Amazon, leave a review. You can comment on Apple Podcast and leave a review. You can comment on Audible and leave a review. I don't see anywhere you can leave a review on iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's no comments available on iHeartRadio for some reason. I guess it's just not set up that way.
But we'll be announcing the winner on Monday's episode.
Yes.
So
coming Monday,
September the 1st. September the 1st.
It'll be Labor Day. We have a special Labor Day episode. As always on Mondays, we like to talk about haints and boogers.
Ghost stories and cryptids.
Yeah. Ghost stories, cryptids, yeah, all of it. All the supernatural type of things. And since it's going to be Labor Day, we may do something with ghost experiences in the workplace.
Yeah, I've had a few.
Have you had a few?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. So, yeah, we should do that. Be sure to come back and join us then on Monday.
And find out who the winner is.
Yeah. Find out if you're a winner and listen to some scary ghost stories.
We'll tell you how to get up with us to claim your loot.
Yeah. Get your free merch.
Yeah.
And hear about some haints and boogers. Well, till then, I am your host, Hillbilly Phantom, and my beautiful co-host,
Appalachian Shade.
And this is Appalachian Not So Quiet. We'll catch you on the next one. Watch out for them boogers.